if anything, he's not here yet with us, so we can really pick on him about that now. Not that it wouldn't matter anytime. We can pick on him anyway. Anyway, hey, we're back. Guys had a little hiatus. Life gets busy. We've had a lot of snow. A lot of these guys plow snow for a living when they're not farming. Olin.
Yes.
So we've got some great guests lined up. Hopefully, a couple of them are having issues getting in here and having everything working. So we got our fingers crossed. So, Olin, I'm going to turn everything over to you. And I know we're going to start off with Josh Longmire from the White Pine Antique Tractor Pool. And as guys come in, I'm going to apologize to everybody now. I'm going to probably be jumping in real quick and say, hey, can you hear me or whatever. So if I do say that, Olin, it's no disrespect to you guys, but just to make sure that they're working. Okay. Brian's trying. Brian said his will work when he mutes his microphone, but as soon as he unmutes it, he can't hear us. So he'll probably, I've never heard that. I've never heard of that problem. So it's something new. He'll just have to toggle back and forth. So it's all yours, Olin.
Well, it's what it is. Hey, I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. We got an interesting show coming up. We got some good guests here. We got a couple still on the way in because of challenges they have with the electronics and getting everything set up. If you ever want to find out how much fun it is, let us know. We'll bring you on as a guest. You can find out yourself. Anyway, we have Josh Longmire here with the Jefferson FFA bunch in White Pine, Tennessee. He's got a pool coming up. We got Matt Stauffer, Mr. Hillbilly Chrome himself. He is our Chrome perspective. He fills us in on a lot of unique thoughts, and he's kind of a guy on the side that keeps us in the correct and take us places that we didn't know we was going. All right, we have Bryan Lively coming in to help this talk about the national perspective of tractor pulling. Hopefully have Steve Zimmer, the National Sled Inspector, coming in to talk about insurance and sleds and nationally how we look at pulling. A lot of times pullers have a problem with thinking localized, and the sport is much. Take care of the noise, please. Is much bigger than that, and we have to think a little broader. We have Sarah Cullen coming in, Richard McIntyre. I think he's coming in too. Sarah just got in the building, so she's working to get in. She got things to do first. But there's a lot going on in pulling. There's a lot of changes going on. It's motorsports. Remember, it's motorsports. So therefore, there's always advances and coming along. And as we all have seen in the last years, classes have been changing. Needs of pullers have changed. Tractors have changed. Venues, locations have changed. There is change going on. JR, he has tremendous volumes of nostalgia pulling from years ago. If you ever want to go on his site and look at it, he'll explain to you later what they are. You can go see the change. You can go see the pre-wheelie bar days. You can go see pre-roll cage, pre-helmet days. It's a lot of change that's happening in tractor pulling. Yeah. The thing we don't want is to price yourself out with insurance by not being progressive, where we can't afford the insurance, and we don't want the injuries to force us to go there. So that's where we're headed to tonight on this show. But we also have some great things going on. We got Josh with the Jefferson. We got Harrisburg coming up on the East Coast. We have some other indoor pools that have finished up. We have points series going on the East Coast here right now. Coming up, we want to talk about it. But right now, we're going to lead off with Josh. Josh, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm all right. How's everybody else?
Well, as a generalized question, how's the weather in White Pine area tonight? I see you're an hour behind us. You had still daylight. We all dark.
So today it's about 20 degrees colder than it was yesterday. Yesterday was 80. Today the high got about 60. Is it?
We're down to what, 47 now, 37 now? 30 in the 30s. We was 80 yesterday. And we got picked up a foot of snow during the day. So winter hadn't fully left yet. And I'm going to ask each of our guests what they have for their weather. Because just to show you that how broad the area it is that we cover. But back to your poll. You had a date change, correct? from
Yes.
last year?
From last year, we moved. We moved. I know 1 week, maybe two. We moved to try to get away from the other pool, and then so we moved later. Try to do that. So we're the last weekend in March this year, the 27th and 28th of this month.
Okay. And that's a 2-day pool, correct? A Friday, Saturday?
Friday, Saturday, yes. Gonna start pulling at 10 o'clock both mornings. Pull antiques all day, and then we'll have what we call the show starting at 7:30 of the night. We're gonna have some fast antiques that night also, and then we will also have some V8 hot rods, some mini trucks, 4-wheel drive trucks, 6,200 pound light limited alcohols. Um, can't have no diesels in that class, but we can have the alcohol tractors and
Would that be
uh,
running 2 sleds or 1?
be running 2 sleds.
So there'll be 2 tracks to watch of entertain for those watching.
Yes, yes.
And do
All
you have spectators?
do it now.
Do you have spectators at night?
Yes, I think last year we had somewhere around the neighborhood, if I remember right, about 1,500 on Saturday night. Maybe a few more.
Does that help cover your expenses?
Yes, yes. That's why we do the night show that we do to try to pull in some spectators to help cover the cost of the building and the sled rentals and everything else that's involved with the indoor 2-day pool.
I
Can
think
get pretty pricey.
I think you're one of the few groups that have managed to achieve that. Um, so that is of interest. I mean, most of the antique pulling does not have spectators or even have enough to charge a entry fee for a spectator to come to. So that's rather remarkable in itself.
Mhm.
I would, from what I can see. Um, Matt, have you seen anybody else have 1,500 spectators at an antique
No,
pool?
no,
Nah.
no. Very, the stands are virtually empty other than competitors and maybe some competitors' family. So
Yeah,
never
so
see that.
that's a pretty remarkable feat in itself. Um, so as a model, I think there's a lot of learning can be learned from how you have achieved that. Um, and I know you said there've been FFA bus loads come in there and different things you've reached out to. I think you told me over the past. Is that correct?
Yes, last year we was able to do that. Unfortunately, this year we're not going to be able to do that because they're actually going to go to state convention Sunday through Wednesday, then come home Thursday, and then we start pulling Friday this year.
Okay, so that would be
So
rather challenging.
yeah,
So that number might be something reflected in that number, correct?
right. I think we did have a couple, maybe three. I won't say bus loads, but I don't know that the buses was full last year that came from more middle west Tennessee because Tennessee State FFA convention is just about a 30-minute bus ride from where the pool's at. So a lot of them from down in there come up on Thursday or Friday. Uh, so it's not so much travel on Sunday, and some of them have to compete on Sunday. So they were there on Saturday anyway.
Okay, interesting. All right, let's get back to your poll itself. Tell us what the track's like. It's pretty much a known fact. The spring track behaves differently than the fall track, which I'm not sure why.
In general, in the years that we've been there and seeing both pools, yes, that is accurate. We're usually you better have a little more weight hung on the nose than you do in the fall when you come in there. We get a little more grip, need a little more horsepower on our tracks. The only thing I can explain that makes the tracks different between fall and spring is maybe we're a little bit warmer weather, and I guess the track maybe holds a little moisture a little better. Cause I mean we tried 1 year and done the tracks for the East Tennessee pool in the fall, and I mean we tried as everything we done in the spring, it still didn't end up the same way. So the weather is the only explanation I can have for our tracks. But like I said, better bring a little weight for the nose when you get to the spring pool.
All right. Let's go back and talk a little bit about your classes. I think you have changed a few things since last year. I think you the bracket added a bracket, and then you run a fast classes for antiques. We probably have more antique pullers watching at the moment. So let's talk about how that affects them. What you've done, what you've provided for them.
Well, 3 years that we've been there, this will be our fourth year being up there. We haven't been able to fill brackets. So this year we done away with the brackets and going to try these team pull classes. Now, one of them, the one where you get drawn a partner, the last 8 tractors will go into for a small bracket at the end to determine the winner. Those will be that'll be 5,000 pounds, 6 mile an hour, and teams will be random draw. Then we're also going to flip the other side of that coin. We got a bring your own partner team class that will be 52.50, 6 mile an hour, $100 a tractor entry. But now, and on that one, you can enter more than one time if you want to pay 2 hook fees. If Owen and Richard come down there and they want to team up and you know, Owen, you think you can win with Danny Ferguson, then as long as you're willing to pay 2 hook fees, you can hook with both people in that class.
That's a very interesting concept.
Yeah, yeah.
And pulling has reached the plateau, and it's time to broaden it out, I think. And that's a discussion on a way to make bracket pulling more interesting. As long there's also the bikes and all that other stuff they have going on and some other ones. But as an opportunity to just do straight line pulling, that and straight line bracket, that's a pretty simple formula that has a lot of uniquenesses that come about in that. Should be a lot of fun to play in that game. You're running some much faster classes at night too, correct?
Yes.
Or during the day as well.
Well, both. There'll be fast classes during the day, and there's we'll have the FFA class will be of a night. That was a pretty good class for us last year, and we've also of a night going to have the George Stedman Memorial class. It's a George had one rule when he had a pull around here: make, weight, and pull. So it's 57.50. Run what you brung. So as long as you can make the weight, there's no speed limit on it. Huh?
Who was George? A lot of us don't
George
know.
was our announcer for as long as longer than we've been at Walter State. And then he announced at Oak Grove. He announced at other pools too that we would have. I used him for the local fire pool here that I put on. And George pulled around here for years.
Okay.
He's a good guy. Met him years ago. Good guy. Yep.
Yes.
Old
We
George.
also one thing that's not on that flyer that we have added. I done a Facebook post the other day for like an update. We have added a 37.50, 8 and 12 mile an hour that will pull both days.
Is that a big tire?
Yes.
It's an 1838 tire.
Yes, for them.
Mm-hmm.
Our top cuts will be 16.9s. All 4 mile an hour will be top cut. Then anything 6 mile an hour and above is it's any we label it as any cut. That way if anybody, that has 16.9s wants to get in it, they're welcome to. But 6 mile an hour and above can run 18.4s.
Okay. Is there a stock class, so to speak, uncut tire classes for like locals to participate in, or is it just all for out of town tractors, more of a cut tire setup?
Um, it's more of a top cut, full cut. Um, I think if you flash that flyer back up there, I think we done away with our uncut tire classes this year because we didn't have, a lot of. No, we still got them. There's still some. I don't have a paper copy of this flyer. I'm having to look on here too. But yes, we have some uncut 4 mile an hour classes for your stock or up and coming that ain't got the top cut tires yet or whatnot. They're going to start at 4,000, and then 4,000 up to 85, and then a 10,000 pound class. Have 4, 45, 5, and 55, and then go to 85 and 10.
All right. JR, we're changing. You see, we got a second screen just come up. Richard and Sarah's coming on. We'd like to swap over to
Okay.
that if you can make it happen.
Yep. Give me 1 second. I'll be right over.
And I'll cut this other one off.
Okay, just don't talk until I take that off because it'll be some tremendous feedback.
All right. We're back to you now. Good.
Yep, you're good.
Richard's in the house. Sarah's in the house now. We got our full staff is in now. All right. So, you have a hook limit per day. How's registration done? Yeah. So there's two different questions.
Registration, we actually have pre-registration up and active right now on our Facebook page. You can go there and pre-register. No money due when you pre-register. You will pay when you get there. And since we have no brackets this year, basically what you're doing is just going ahead and registering your tractor number. That way you got it that day. You can walk up and say, hey, I'm tractor 14 and here's the classes I want to get in. But we do have a pre-registration up and you can sign up the day of. However you want to do it. We also have some QR codes posted around the place. One will have the rules on it, one will have the pull order on it, and one will have what's going on right now on it.
And I think you said if you pre-register, I think you get the option of first 5 or something hooks, and then don't forget the generator part.
If you pre-register and you're the first one in the class to pre-register, but you don't want the number 1 spot, you can elect to drop to number 5 in the class, and then number 1 would be filled in, the day of or however. But if the day of nobody signs up for the class, number 5 is the first puller. Well, then you'll move to number 1.
Okay. And
So,
how much generator?
And for everybody that pre-registers, you will get 1 ticket. We've got a Predator 5,000 watt generator that we're raffling off this year. And for everybody that pre-registers, we'll get 1 entry for the generator. And it's 1 entry per tractor. So if you come down with 2 tractors, then you'll have 2 entries that if you pre-registered.
Is there a hook limit per day, Josh?
3 hooks per day, not counting
Including morning session and evening session is different, correct?
Yes. If you're in the team pulls or you're going to pull in the classes, the antique classes of a night, that don't count towards your 3 hook limit.
And the typical hook fee was for, you said
On
team
Friday this year, on Friday, everything is $60, but we went to a 60% payback on Friday for that. And then on Saturday, it's going to drop back to $30, 50% payback.
Okay. That
Now
could be a
your
pretty good
team
payback.
pull hook fees are $100 a tractor.
Mm-hmm. That could be a fairly decent payback at that rate. And the purpose of this poll is FFA.
The purpose of this pool, it's the alumni putting it on, and the proceeds will go in the alumni account, but all that the alumni is there for is we do scholarship for the FFA members and anything else that the chapter may need in order to help the kids better. In the past, we've bought them a enclosed trailer for hauling either luggage to state and national convention, or for the greenhouse. They grow poinsettias and they get big orders in the fall to deliver them in to keep them out of the wind and stuff. We're getting now. We're yet to see what our role's going to be in this, but they're in the process of building a 40 by 60 barn that's going to be a livestock facility for the high school. We may be asked to, help with chutes or pens or corrals or, equipment of that nature to help outfit it. Something, stuff that maybe the school's not going to provide for them. And that's our whole purpose in this pool. And that's this is our main fundraiser for the year, is just to help the chapter however we can and give out scholarships.
Okay. Quick question. JR, has our other two guests showed up?
Actually, I was just getting ready to send you a message. Steve is backstage, but none of his devices are turned on. It won't allow me to add him. He's got to turn his camera and his microphone on.
I'll call him.
Yeah,
All
give him a
right.
call.
In the meantime, Matt, would you please talk about Harrisburg while I go call Steve?
Sure. I'm not part of the group that runs
I
that
understand.
event, but no, I'm just for the audience. But I'll tell you what I know, and if Greg Peischer's online, he could straighten me out maybe and send a message if need
And
be.
I have
So
no flyer. I could not find a flyer for that. Oh.
okay, well I don't have it committed to memory, but I'll get you close. So it's always conflicted with at least the past several years with the pool that Josh just talked about. He moved his date. Well, guess what? Mid-Atlantic moved their date too, for whatever reason. I don't know. So it is the same weekend, the 27th, 28th. So you're not going to be able to make both events again this year.
Yes.
They do there's no team pulling. There's no bracket pulling. It's, weight class. Are you waving to me, JR?
I'm waving to Richard. They left him there all by himself. I don't want him to be lonely.
He's not. That's not a good thing if he's alone. So they do it, just weight classes. They do split the days by weight. So again, we don't have the flyer in front of us, but whatever their lightest weight is, I want to say 3,000, up through 5,250 on Friday. And then Saturday, they'll pick up at 5,500 and go up to whatever their top weight is. 10,000. I don't know what it is offhand, to be honest with you. I was glad to hear Josh say that they have, half a dozen or so non-cut classes down there at their event, because, with these indoor pools, a lot of times the non-cut guys get left out. But for Harrisburg, they're non-cut, 3.5 mile an hour from 3,000 pounds all the way up. So the one sled will run 3.5 mile an hour non-cut class at a certain weight, and then they'll do 4 mile an hour any cut class followed up. They'll just go back and forth. And then the other sled will run 6, 8, 15 mile an hour. Hook limits, you can actually get 6 in per day. You're allowed 3 regulars and 2 jackpots, or 4 regulars and a jackpot, and all the classes are payback. But then you get a bonus. There are 2 classes each day, one for non-cut 3.5 and one for any cut 4 mile an hour. The proceeds go right to the local FFA. I think it's called Manor FFA, but it's one of the local groups that pool supports. A lot of the kids come out, work the scales, and hitch checkers and all that stuff. So the numbers are, the first day it's 46.25 is the weight, and then when they move to Saturday, the heavier weights, it's 64.25. I think you just move the numbers around. The weights are straight up. There's no weight overage on any of the classes, so no 50 or 100 pounds over. Can't make the weight. You got to go up to the next class. As far as indoor tracks go, and I've only pulled on that one, the White Pine one in the fall, and Chatham, and every time the Mid-Atlantic track, the Harrisburg one, it will take more front end weight. It's a much tighter track, at least has been the years I've been on it. They are going to do the same pool orientation as far as direction. So if you've been there before, or if you haven't, it'll be the same as last year. You come in through the pit area. There's a scale there, so you can check your weight and hitch there. Then you come up the hallway. It's at the Harrisburg Farm, PA Farm Show Complex. Come up the hallway, and then if you're going slow, you're on the left-hand sled as you're coming into the arena. And if you're fast, you're on the right hand. When you leave the track, doesn't matter if you're coming off fast or slow, you will go over the same scale, not the same scale you came across, but a different scale exiting the arena, and they'll check your weight and hitch height there. Now, last year was the first time they did that, and there was a lot of skepticism that would work, but somehow they had those scales dead nuts on. I mean, myself, I said, I'm going to try this. And I'm going to say 5,000 pounds. And it was teetering between, 49.95 and 5. It's like, let's see if I have a problem when I come off the track. It was the exact same thing. I could not believe they had them that close. So that was not a problem last year.
As normal, Matt, it's cash for hooks. Everything else is credit card up there, including parking, isn't it? How's that work?
Yeah. Well, I know so as far as the parking goes, I know like the building, they usually open up Thursday afternoon. So if you want to get there and park indoors, you can do that. And some of the guys coming from afar, that stay in a hotel, they do that. But parking, I don't know that it's all credit card. I can't remember, but it is a little different on timing. So the pool both days starts at 8:00 and registration opens at 6. So it's a little earlier day than maybe what we're used to. They do have a pre-registration that's open through the 21st, I believe. And like Josh said, it's the same kind of same format as in you don't have to pay up front. But here they do, you select your classes and send them in. Not that you couldn't make a change, I guess, but it just helps for the paperwork the day of. They have a gentleman, Jason Bird, that does registration. He doesn't pull himself, but his father and his brother do, and he used to do registration up at the Montour DeLong organization. So he's got it down to a science. So it does help. You would show up, and if you made no changes, you would just pay your numbers or pay your money, and then you'd have your pool card and your numbers or whatever. So
another interesting fact about Harrisburg is the whole day one track pulls no but uncut tires, and they do change.
They'll do 3.5, which is uncut, and then they'll do the slowest cut on the same track, and they alternate back and forth.
Oh, they will on the other sled? I thought it would stay uncut all day long.
Same sled, yeah. So they'll do 3.5 and 4 at the same weight on the one sled, and they do all the fast stuff on the other sled. Okay. One thing I didn't mention, the sleds. So the main head honcho on this pool is Ray Kaufman, and he's with Decision Maker Sleds. So they are Decision Maker Sleds there. So he managed
him, and he had other obligations. He couldn't get here tonight.
But it's the same basic team that's run it the last several years after taking over from Brad Peters, if you know that name. He used to run the pool. So Ray Kaufman from Decision Maker Sleds, along with Don Hilkert and Paul Wirtz out of the Montour DeLong Machinery Association, which is about 45 minutes to an hour upriver from Harrisburg up the Susquehanna River. So it's been a pretty good pool the last couple of years. After the first year, after taking it over from Brad, I think it was a learning experience for them. I think they've made some improvements as far as the layout, and like any pool, you just got to kind of hopefully people self-police. If they're pulling, calling for 5,000-pound tractors, those are the guys we want going, coming out of the pits across that scale. We don't want an 8,000-pound tractor there weighing in, and they ain't going to hook for 3 or 4 hours. That just clogs up the works. So you got a little bit of that, but other than that, it's going pretty well. So that's all I can think of. If you have any questions, I might be able to answer.
Well, we'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Much
Yep.
appreciated. I also want to bring up while Matt's on with us, the point series that's running on in the Pennsylvania territory, small tire, big tire. Remember the cutoff date to sign up is April 1st, correct? With
Yep.
either Mike Hitchens or Greg Rimley.
Yeah.
It's imperative that people sign up because after that date, it's not going to you're not going to be in. And number two, they have to make sure they have enough tractors to run the class. So it's really the 6 mile an hour is a new offer this year. I'm hoping to get plenty of tractors to run that class because it will be a remarkable opportunity this summer for big tire tractors to run in classes with mini tractors instead of smaller number, which is a great opportunity.
Right. So just if I can, just a couple additional details on that. So for the 3.5 mile an hour classes, they're going to run the same 2 classes they did last year, which is 4,500 and 5,500. Last year, we 4 hooks counted out of 5 or 5 out of 6. I forget what it is. But this year they've added some events. So they're going to have 8 hooks available for the 3.5 mile an hour guys. Only 4 will count. So, it allows flexibility as far as schedule. Not everybody can, has vacation and whatever. And there won't be any rain makeup. So the 8 dates are established. If there's a rain out, there's not a makeup. That's what they did last year. They had 6 open dates to try to get 5 events in, and they did. But for the 6 mile an hour guys, I think it's a straight up 5 or 6 events, and 4 will count. And, that is big tire, of course, 5,500 pounds. Some of the events overlap as far as, if you're trying to run both. I know Forksville, they're doing big tire on Friday night and then small tire on Saturday.
Center Hall has an overlap.
What's that?
Center Hall, I believe, overlaps as well.
Yeah, I think they do that too because they do small tire first and then do big tire. So it should be an interesting year. I think the goal was to get, if they could get 15 big tire guys to commit, they would do it. So I haven't heard the latest.
That's a new location for the big tire up there with Dylan Card and that bunch.
Yeah, that I think is what, Honesdale? Is that what it's called?
Honesdale area, yes.
Yeah, I've never been out there, but it's good to go support that club. I mean, they always come around. That's that JC New and his daughter Leah and Kenny Reynolds. Yep, Sparky's kind of up that way too. Kurt Sparks is up that way. So a bunch of good pullers from there, and they always come around to support this. And that you've talked about that before. That we, those of us that can and do travel around is try to support each other's clubs and help grow the sport. So looking for a good year on traveling points. It's been a good series so far.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bryan Lively. You in the house and hear us good now?
Nope. He said he was going to try one more time and it didn't work. So I guess he decided not to try again. So.
Well, we was planning on having Bryan Lively on the national perspective of antique tractor pulling, safety and changes going on indoors and outdoors and all over tractor pulling, because he looks at it nationally, whereas a lot of us are very localized. And we was planning on having Steve Zimmer with National Sled Association talking, but looks like both of them have had technical difficulties at the last moment. Both of them have tried to be on many times tonight and have had multiple situations where they couldn't get on. Unfortunate.
Now, Bryan said, I'm going to send him a message here because he said he would join in chat if he couldn't get on here. So I'm going to send him a message and see if he can come in the chat and at least talk that way, maybe.
Hey, Olin, one thing just I'll highlight while we're waiting on that, because it kind of came up tonight at a local fair pool meeting, and then I was reading it in the Mid-Atlantic rules. So if you're thinking about coming to Mid-Atlantic, make sure you look at the rules, because there's fan shield rule in there for metal fans. But the other thing is they are not allowing any clevises at all. So, a few years ago, some of us went through that growing pain with the national sleds with that tab on the hook, and the hitch hole had to be whatever it was, 3 1/4, and a bunch of guys, had to get the torch out and all that. So that's coming. If it's not universal, it's pretty much getting there that, they're not going to allow.
Are they full wheelie bar there now or not?
Where are we talking?
Harrisburg.
Yes. Yeah, you got to have wheelie bar.
Okay. But what was it? 8 years ago, it wasn't the thing. So what we're getting ready to talk about is there's been evolution in tractor pulling. Wheelie bars have come on, the clevis, the drawbar hole, the fan shields. There's a lot of things that have been coming on in tractor pulling, and I was hoping for them other guys, so I wasn't quite so much out there on talking, but I've talked to them, both of them. Tractors are being built. They're getting bigger. They're getting stronger. And Josh, the request is for faster than 12 mile an hour now, correct?
Mhm.
They want the 14 mile an hour class. Harrisburg runs a 15 mile an hour class. So there's a lot of question now with some things that have happened in the last period of a year or so of incidents where now the insurance is taking a really close look at what's going on at these tracks. And I don't know if we can afford to have an issue. What would their insurance rate be? Would we go to $100 a hook because of insurance, the additional cost? Will it be prorated to tractors more likely to have an issue because of speed? You don't know what could happen next when insurance gets involved. So the question starting to come up is, how do groups and locations mediate management of this? And it's not that we know the answers, it's just time for the discussion to start, is what we're trying to say. I understand there was a tractor in a 12 mile an hour class, broke a hitch in the last 10 foot of the track, ended up on the sand pile. There's also the question of how close should you be standing to a track when a tractor is doing 12 mile an hour down the track or faster? Well, I mean, me 8 mile an hour can be enough, but I've had to clutch on 12 mile an hour before I got to the announcer stand and he was half track at the cone because I was headed out. So I got out of the groove, and it was later in the hook class, and the tractor was leaving. It was not going to stay in the groove. It was not going to stay on the track. I had to clutch. I've seen tractors, light ones that trying to make weight, not have enough weight, lose their front end balance. And I've seen many of them clutch at the cone because they already got the tire in the pan. They're that sideways. So what happens on that? How do we deal with that? And that's a very good question. That's a safety aspect of a pull. Then there's also questions about the cone. Does the cone stay, or does the cone enhance the problem? A lot of pullers believe the center track cone allows tractors to really build up speed and get faster and take something or add something. And different pullers have different thoughts on that, and they need to go back to their promoters and address it. The guys running the pull, and they need to address how they want to deal with it. But the question has come up. Motors are getting big. They're really getting big. And you really have the potential to leave and get down that track. Are they still modified antiques, or are they moving towards another class and division of tractors that should be redefined as a different division? And let them continue to pull, of course, because they built the tractors. They need to go pulling, and it's a great show class. But do they need a separate set of rules for them to run in to be safe, to protect the sport, is the question. And we've all seen them. I don't want to tell them to get rid of tractors. They don't want to. Those beautiful pieces of tractor they've built. It comes in several makes and models and stuff. They've done some wonderful work. But do they need to be protected with some rules so that they can run without getting into situations? Is what the point of having. I was trying to get Bryan to talk about, and Steve.
Brian's trying another device. He may make it, Olin.
That'd be wonderful if he would come in.
Yeah, he's trying right now. I just sent him a link. So
And I think Steve couldn't get his phone or what his device he was to jump on Google Chrome or whatever it was, and he just couldn't make it because of that. But we got this coming on in the sport. We all seen evolution. The small tire has evolutionized to be a big class now. The small tire top cut or full cut, or just a small tire 3.5 mile an hour. But even in 3.5 mile an hour, you know what 1/10 of a mile makes. It's a very competitive thing. But you know, insurance is starting to look at it, and it's even been posed that an 8 mile an hour tractor and above needs to have a double hitch for safety. Well, how long? That's going to be an interesting fact if that happens. How long does that add to hook time? How many sleds carry 2 chains? How many tractors are going to be built? Maybe it's easier to do some class modification than it is to go that extreme yet. So when you consider having to put 2 drawbars on your tractor to pull 8 mile an hour, and fall on these new criteria, maybe it's a little simpler to deal with it in advance. JR, you've done a lot of nostalgia pulling videos. You've seen the change. You want to chime in a little bit?
Well, horsepower for one, just like you spoke with the engines getting larger, et cetera, in your niche of pulling. PPL went 2 chains. We run 2 chains here. NTPA still runs a single chain. I've seen tractors break, and have to rely on the second chain, and not, in other words, not break free from the sled. So that made a big difference. Should that rule be across the board for the bigger guys? I agree. Older stuff, the scary stuff for me is people along the track. I mean, I video too. So yeah, I'm going to stand here and stomp and snort about people standing along the track because you're in my way filming. No, but seriously, it can get dangerous. Anything can happen. Anything. You can lose a wheel. Anything can happen. Are you going to get out of the way in time if you're not paying attention?
If you're doing 8, 12 mile an hour, even 6,
yeah.
How long does it really take to stop once the safety device has been pulled? Once it's been activated, how many feet do you actually travel, Richard? You have any idea?
I mean, it depends on how the sled's set, but if you're on
exactly, sure.
It also depends on the dirt you're pulling on, because indoors you have to count. If the sled's going 8 mile an hour, your tires are probably going 10 or 12 mile an hour.
Okay, but now they're hooked up because you're unhooked from the sled.
Right. Well, not only that, you're unhooked from the sled,
so nothing's
pulling you. So you're going to go from more like 12 to 14 or 15 instead of slowing down.
So by the time you clutch it, how many feet have you traveled? Suppose you was going sideways and you was alongside the track. That's not much of a safety margin. And these questions are coming up.
When you get that mile per hour and you get a tractor that really does get hooked, it might just get a little crazy, start all but trying to one wheel, and you got the front end in the air and that front end slams down. So you got a wide front and you break a hub. Where's that wheel going to go? Who's that wheel going to hit? Is it going to hit somebody?
Well, the other thing too, when you're going at 8 mile an hour and faster and things like that, it's not only just can you get the tractor stopped, but if other things happen, can you stop the tractor? Especially when you're going 12 and 14, can you stop the tractor without getting run over by the sled? Because
that's coming too.
Very good point.
What's happening? It's coming behind you.
That's right.
And there's even questions about length of pull has been brought up, and Steve was here, he'd tell you, and insurance about length of pull. How long fatigue on a 1 day, 2 days, or more pull? How long should a sled operator be in a sled? That's another big question that's going to come up. As much like a CDL driver, how long are they allowed to operate before? And then how about your help? How long are they going to be out there? So maybe we figure out how just say, hey, that's a problem, and address it, like a rotation of help, whatever. And everybody knows help is short supply. That's another problem. Another problem that we're going to have to deal with. Yes, what you see?
No, I was back to the safety aspect in the speeds and the tractor going sideways or whatever. I think you guys would all agree. I mean, most of the places a lot of the places we go to on a regular basis during the summer, like Trout Run or Middle Creek or Buffalo Valley. I mean, they're set up for pulling all the time, and they have jersey walls there or jersey barriers, right? So, but then you go to these indoor pools where they're pulling faster a lot of the time, and just well, you know, you're 3 feet back behind a piece of caution tape. I ain't going to stop anything. So, you know, I agree that really does need to be looked at, because one bad accident and then we're all in trouble, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to say we want indoor pools to leave. That's not it at all. I think they're the greatest avenue there is to increase the pulling and showcase tractors in the wintertime. And they're wonderful, like the Jefferson FFA ones. They're supporting FFA. Most all of them have a charity class running, whether it's St. Jude's, Shriners, or benefit class running. They all got something running. Not saying that at all. We really want to protect them, is what we're after here. I can't read it.
You got to have the extra help in order to be able to switch out.
Yeah, and then another problem is I've discovered is at the scale. Tractors really, when they stage for the scale, they really need to be courteous to the scale. There was a pool I know of where a tractor come up too close to the scale, and the tractor behind had a malfunction in the clutch and pinned the poor scale stick, the drawbar measure between the tractor. The guy was on behind, and the tractor was being checked. So is there a safety area that needs to be to protect their helpers at that area? You know, so there's things that do happen. And when you actually ask questions and listen and realize that, hey, if we're hearing it, what does the insurance hear? How's that coming? The return response going to come back to us on insurance. Unlike years ago, a lot of people say a lot of these changes have been paid in blood. Well, I don't know if Antique can afford the bloodshed that they did years ago. I think the insurance bill would be too astronomical. It'd be very detrimental. So I'm worried that we ought to kind of work a little bit proactive and not reactive. Matt, Richard?
Well, I mean, with insurance, one bad accident can kill a whole region of any motorsport, no matter what it is. I mean, it only takes a second. And a lot of people, well, I'll be safe standing here. Well, you are till you're not. And I don't know how fast any of you think you are, but you're not going to outrun a 14-mile-an-hour tractor. It just ain't going to happen. By the time you know you need to leave, it's going to be on top of you.
I'm not sure I could outrun a 6-mile-an-hour tractor.
I'm not sure I want to see you try.
I don't want to try. So I don't know about the rest of you, but 6-mile-an-hour tractor turn coming my way, I'm not so sure I want to try that. I want to be in that situation. Or 3.5 can look a little intimidating at times. So why we don't want to go there? So those out there watching that have a little bit of input in your groups, just put a little thought into it. Take the information back, discuss it. What can we do that is feasible? But just be courteous. Yes, Jared.
I was saying that's David Sean. People hooking and unhooking stand in between the tractor and the sled, and we preach that all the time at our events. Very dangerous.
Yep, and I think I was told, Steve Zimmer told me about sleds and insurance. I think he told me the guy on the sled is the most uninsured individual at the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish he was on here to explain it to you. And hopefully another show I'll bring him back to fill you in on some of this stuff. But it's there's some interesting details there. And then if you look on Facebook, we even got a guy dumb enough to ride on top of a sled.
Ride the sled in motion,
and ride a sled down the track and fall off on the box. So that was really rare. That's almost like impossible to believe. But
he actually fell down in the chassis on the chain and stuff. That's where
all that's heavy metal. I don't even
100% where you don't want to be.
I don't even know how I survived that. That looked like just a bunch of hard hitting to me. Like that's not where I would want to land.
You
Yeah,
shouldn't be. You
that's not
shouldn't
the
have done
dirt.
it. Period. I mean, just
Done. And so okay, so now we got irregular tractor stuff, and then we got population willing to come in there and jeopardize us by jumping on a sled. Now we got some real issues going on that we better be just a little aware of. Do we see them coming? No. But we ought to just think on it some is what we're after. What we're trying to tell you on the podcast. We're just worried about tractor pulling, and that's why we do the podcast. We want to protect tractor pulling. We want to see it go. We want to see the FFAs. We want to see the Shriners do well. We want to see St. Jude's well. We want to see Noah White. We got to get back to that. Remind me, Matt, to get back to Noah White. All right. We want to see Noah White get on a tractor and pull.
Yeah.
We want to see the next generation get on a tractor and go pulling. We want to see young ones have a place to go and run their tractors. And we want to see antique tractors are memorized other than in a salvage pile or put on a boat to be melted somewhere.
Right.
So that's what we're up to. And that's why we do these podcasts. And also give information about the pools upcoming. We got any other upcoming pools we need to talk about? Because until I get any more like Bryan or Steve on, I'm probably maxed out here on my abilities. Matt, do you have any other upcoming pools coming? I think you was at. Where was you at to a pool meeting tonight?
Well, that was for my local. Well, it's across state line, but it's Cecil County Fair. Going to be some changes there this year, but not that really affect antiques, just the classics and maybe running some, bigger smoker tractors. But as far as, the season is upon us. We got Harrisburg coming up, and then the weekend after Harrisburg is Easter weekend, so I don't think there's anything going on. But the Saturday after that, which would be April 11th, that's Trout Run's opening pool, and that's actually the first traveling points pool. So it's coming up quick. And then, once after that, every weekend there's something going on, multiple.
Tell them how to get on Greg's page for the calendar that Greg has revised 3 times.
Yeah. So, well, he might be past that. There you go. Oh, no, I figured he'd send it in. So there is I know there's multiple ones, but there's a PA antique pooling calendar page. I probably have that wrong.
Cliffy's got that one, right?
Yeah.
Or is that a different one?
So that'll definitely get posted there. I know he probably posted directly there. I call it the Cliff page because I think Cliff started that one, but it's a PA track.
He deserves recognition for doing that.
Yeah, he does. He does a good job promoting the sport. So yeah, Greg Peischer puts out a schedule of pools that are available. I know like June, if you look at June 6th now, I think he said there's like 8 or 10 pools you could go to up and around Pennsylvania. It's kind of crazy. And that's the Center Hall pool date, I think. But yeah, starting the 11th of April, it's at least up here in Central PA, it starts outdoors and it'll just go.
Bryan Lively.
No, oldest indoor pool in Lincoln, Nebraska. Oh, that's at NATPA. It's the same weekend.
What's it, the 20th, 21st or something?
He's saying 27th, 28th of March. That's the same weekend.
That is a very good pool. I've always had on my bucket list to go to. I've heard it can be anything from frozen solid track to warm. Never mind putting weights on the back of the tractor. They all go on front. I've heard everything about Sigourney. It's a real challenge, but it is also a long distance ride from Maryland.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, I might get out to Western PA or Ohio this year, but I went to New York last summer for the first time, so I'm trying to get around a little bit. But
that is a Sigourney. It's a real bucket list pool to go to. It's got a long reputation. Bring a motor and make sure you bring enough or extra because you don't have enough. It's inside of a building of some sorts that's cold. I've just been told stories, and it's got a lot of history with it. Like Bryan said, and it does have a long history.
Yeah. So there are a lot of good pools out there, obviously, coming out of winter, getting into spring, all getting the fever. I know me personally, I'm looking for another good year. last year I got beat by a pair of 10-year-old twins, and I'm bound and determined that is not going to happen this year. They turned 11 last week, so they'll have to be 11-year-olds beat me this year. But
they're going to double up on you again.
That's right. They got a year's more of experience under their belt. So, and the other thing I was just going to mention was that I got contacted 3 or 4 weeks ago from a local boy down across the state line in Maryland, and he always comes to our county fair with a John Deere R. So he's pulling heavy and slow. So he said he wanted to call me and pick my brain about something. Well, here, lo and behold, he disappointed me, and he wants to build a Massey Harris, which, I hooked him up with Greg Peischer, and, he's the happiest guy now. His grandfather had Massey Harrises, and he's going to build a, competitive 3.5 mile an hour tractor and start traveling with it. So I say he's young, but he's 30, 31. So there's still guys out there looking. It's not only the teenagers we're bringing in, but people of all ages somehow take a look at this and say, hey, I want to give it a try. So I think it's incumbent upon all us to welcome them with open arms, just to keep things going.
Yeah, well, we should embrace all age groups coming in, or in all beginning levels of pulling, as well as those experienced and advanced, and they all have needs and they got to be met. Richard,
Get my rookie card of the year.
all right, good. Well, we always share your weight drop video just to remind
I
you.
am well aware it will never go anywhere.
And it's a cherished video. Yeah, so there's a lot of good things going on. You got, and then we have our Jersey buddies over there running and trying to do good. You got Southern Maryland trying to do good. We got Virginia is all trying to do good. And I keep forgetting. And I'm sorry that I forget what goes on in West Virginia. Judy Pruitt has her bunch out there, and I know they got poll dates and all. And there's some Pennsylvania places that I've never been that have notoriously good polls. Chambersburg, and it goes on and on. The list goes on. New York, New York Steam Show up there at Canandaigua, and there's others up there too. There's so many good avenues to go to. It's very, very heartfelt and warm to see all that and go to them places. It's nice. Now dealer fuel is going to make it rough, but it's always been rough at times. Years ago, we had some high price diesel to travel with. I didn't enjoy it then. I didn't say I'm going to enjoy it now, but
Right.
that's part of it too. Josh, any further thoughts? We're getting close to the end of our show.
No, not just remember us here in a couple weeks. Come pull, have fun with us. We'd like to see.
And I'm sure you give us good Southern hospitality. I've been there before, enjoyed myself immensely. You have hotels around, food around, easy access in and out. It's a great venue. You guys, when you find there's a problem, you've always been very diligent in dealing with them and trying to make changes. You've learned from them. Your class is changing, shows that you're learning from it and moving on, which is good. And I'm really sorry that the Southwestern bunch didn't get their pull. And what was the town they're going to be in now? The new location, Lexington.
Lexington, ain't it?
Yep, Lexington. I'm really sorry that they didn't get to do theirs. I'm looking forward to what they come up with in the future. They're another strong bunch for the East Coast to go to. East Coast really lost a valuable asset with them not having their pull. Been a great perk for the East Coast. So, Matt, any further thoughts? Anything coming in from Bryan? I hope I covered some of the other stuff pretty good, but like I say, I'm going to try to get them guys back.
Next show. Yep. Get them next show.
And JR, any further thoughts? Any further thoughts, Sarah, Richard?
No, I'm just glad that the show's back, and maybe.
The wintertime was hard on us around here. It really, a month of snow on the ground really did not put us in the tractor pulling mode, along with work and other things we had going on. It was not beneficial.
You got to move that
Practical.
stuff. So, yeah,
Well, just look at
I know.
today. It was 80 degrees yesterday. It was snowing today.
Yeah,
That's
most
great.
of our gooseneck trailers all had snow on them all winter.
Bryan Lively
it's
said
cold.
technology is awesome.
Yes,
Because he
Especially
couldn't
when
get
it
on
works.
tonight.
so
And Steve had trouble too. So,
yes, so I hope to get them guys back because they really can fill in the blanks that I can't. I just know what they've told me on the side, and I hope I got the information correct. And I hope polling groups can take some of that and think on it, and or reach out to Brian and or reach out to Steve and see what they see individually. Do an individual phone call if necessary to find out how they can improve things. All right, Richard, you want to close this out?
You just did a fine job. You went
All right, then.
Just went all the way around the horn.
All right, then. Any further thoughts there, Richard? Nope, they're good. JR, let's see
Okay.
what the end looks like.
Yeah, I don't drop the weight on that.
same old ending as always. So,
Thank
thanks
you,
guys for coming
everybody.
in here tonight, and Steve and Brian next time.
I missed that. We're good.
Pay attention to social media. We get these guys scheduled for another show on a Thursday, so or whatever we got to do. So, thanks for being here. Pretty good show, Owen. You did a good
You're
job
welcome.
thinking about yourself. Yep.
Hey, JR.
Yes.
I
ma'am.
appreciate your Bigfoot background.
Yeah, you like that?
I've been watching him all night long, waiting for him to move, but he hasn't.
No,
It's not real.
no.
It's not real.
Oh, JR, you ought to heard what I just heard behind me. It's going to be, it's bad. It's bad.
Oh, I don't care.
He said Bigfoot's not real.
He don't believe it. I'll tell you, we got
I
problems.
could prove it to you. I would, but I know what these two eyes have seen more than once here.
That's another
Good
show.
old Harford County, Maryland. Trust me.
Well, that's another show. We're good right now.
That's a Tuesday night show here. Okay, so
And that is correct. That's correct. Tuesday night. Thank you, JR.
okay, Brian. Real quick, Bryan Lively saying there are concerns we need to address them before they are addressed for us.
That's right.
i.e., we need to fix it before it becomes
And
a
like I
problem.
say, I'm very much looking forward to having Brian and Steve come back, try again with them too. Such important information for pullers to understand. I think Steve told me also in 2 years' time, a Noah sled at a pull, a Noah insured event will require an ambulance at all pulls.
Yes.
And there's changes coming. So the clubs have to budget it. I think Brian told me Oak Grove was getting ready to go through an insurance increase. If he was on, he could explain it. There's things going on, so everybody's gonna have to be aware of it and figure out what they can do to keep it down in a minimal.
Yep.
All right, thank you everybody for watching.
All right. See you soon. Keep an eye on social media for the next date. We'll have a show. I guess I got to go over here and get this outro going. Huh?
Make sure it's the right video. The out, not the in.
Oh no, I'd like to try the in again. You didn't get to see it. All right. Anyway, thanks everybody.